This will be the third year that we've been doing this job, pruning these pines. I think there's 9 of them on this property. And each year, the pines have been let go for quite a while, and we're gradually bringing them back. So pretty much, it is now, it's the end of May, and we're basically decandling. So almost all the candles are going to come off at the base, but not everything. And this is where the art and the science comes in. So for example, this little branchlet here, we're just going to cut the candles part way, because we don't want to cut them off, because we need foliage on this branch here, and we want these little branches to kind of come up to give it that upward clumping look that is so beautiful in both the Sukashi and the Niwaki style of Japanese pruning. So some of these, we're going to be doing some thinning and decandling, as well as a little bit of accentuating this upward movement. We're also going to be removing a lot of the dead pine needles. We'll probably go through and actually with a blower and blow a lot of those out. There goes a bald eagle. He's coming right through here. Right there. Bald eagle. Beautiful. Wow. That's neat. Anyway, we're right down here by the Willamette River, so there's eagles around. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so we're going to be blowing these dead needles out, and also be removing some of the needles that are drooping down, especially these dead ones. So there's going to be some needle pruning, getting rid of these dead needles that are drooping down. And it's going to be a little bit of work, but it's going to look so much better. So that's the first pine, and we'll kind of do that work. Let's go to the next one. Number 2, and it's kind of a repeat, the same thing as the previous pine. Aren't as many dead needles on it, but we're going to be doing a little, not so much thinning. I've already kind of done that in the past. So we want to again prune these candles. Some of the candles will come off completely. It's going to be a discretionary thing, branch by branch. And you have to have a vision of what you want that branch to look like, and then you've got to prune to that vision. And so, and that's where, a little bit of forethought and foresight comes in. So, like on these candles, I want the end of this branch to have a plethora of several candles coming up. So I don't want to cut this candle off completely. We're going to cut it off part way down, because we don't want a large amount of shoot elongation. We want to keep it kind of short, so we don't get this spiky look with a lot of long candles, and that keeps the tree looking, makes it look kind of not very well manicured. So we'll be cutting off, some of the candles will be cutting off completely, depending on how the branch is performing. And of course, we're going to be removing some of the needles that are going down. We don't want to remove all the needles that are going down, because the tree needs a certain amount of needles, because these needles are storing energy, sugars, and all that kind of stuff. So this is a small process, or a process that it takes a few years of getting rid of these old, long needles. And the more we do that and get everything growing up like that, then that brings you to that more traditional Japanese Sukashi look that we're going for. Is the timing of the candle pruning is very, very important. We're almost getting a little bit too late in the season, but the client just called me like 3 days ago before the weekend, and this is Monday, so we're getting right on this. But these candles are still green. You can look at them. They're still green. They have not hardened off. They will harden off after summer starts and we have a period of warm weather. And if you cut internodally, that is, cut the candle part way, that candle will die. While the candle is still green, like it is now, you can cut, we'll be probably cutting, I'd say about half off or 2/3 off. And if there's a little bit of, we still probably have a month before summer starts, the hot weather, or a few weeks at least, then it will begin to back bud. And in other words, it'll put on a secondary, some secondary bud growth. And this timing is really important. And if you cut while they're still green, you will not lose this whole candle. It will not die, because new buds will form. But if once it turns brown and hard, like this wood here, you cut it off, you've lost that candle and possibly the branch. So one has to be very careful with the pines. Pruning is really important. Timing is really important, and you want to do it late spring, just before summer. And we're about a month before summer, so we got summer's June 21st. It all depends on when the hot weather starts. It's really irrespective of the dates on the calendar. Every climate is different depending on your area. I'm here in Northwest Oregon, and this is how our timing is. I can't speak to other areas where the weather's different. Pine number 3, these are coast or shore pines. Pinus contorta. These are native to the northwest coast, coastal areas of the Pacific Northwest, and also they grow inland in the east of the Cascade Mountains as lodgepole pines. Same thing, Pinus contorta. Anyway, don't ask me why on the east side they grow straight like lodge poles. On the west side they grow all contorted, hence Pinus contorta. Anyway, we're going to be doing the same thing on this, so I don't need to explain too much. Just want to do a before and after. We're going to go through and repeat. Here's pine number 4 right here. And these are all pruned in more the Sukashi style, so they're full and open. And then here this is our only sheared pine. This is what a lot of people think of as Japanese pruning. And this here is a type of white pine, I believe. Anyway, this really will shear very carefully with Japanese hand shears, and we're going to shear the tops of the candle growth. And in the past, I have come through and I've opened up underneath these are called pads, and I've opened up, and we do want to open them up. We want light to come through, so we'll probably get in here and shake out the dead needles, and get in here and do a little bit of thinning, because we want a little bit of light to penetrate. I've already cut a lot in the past 2 years, cut a lot of dead stuff out of here, but they're still pretty thick. Like, this is really thick. We need to really open that up a little bit, and then shear. Okay. Same thing. Oh, there's a dragonfly. Look at that dragonfly. Can you zoom in on him? Isn't that beautiful? Just sitting there. When you stop and you just kind of like take a deep breath and slow her down, you see beautiful things like eagles, dragonflies. There's ospreys along the river here. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful, kind of an azure blue, cerulean blue. Anyway, I'm going to do the same thing. I've really been working on this pine tree, and we're going to be doing, again, it's going to be the same thing. By the way, we've got some vine maples in here, and we're going to thin them out too, prune them. So this is the only Pinus thunbergii, Japanese black pine, and it's got a lot of dead needles in it, and I really pruned it hard last year, or maybe it was the year before, I don't remember, and it kind of stressed the tree out a little bit. So the tree's performing well, it's coming back. We're going to get all the dead needles out, and then we'll leave most of the candles but cut them down. I don't want to thin it out any more than it is. I really had to thin a lot out because it was very thick. Now we're getting a nice structure to it. And then here's pine number, whatever it is, 7, 8. Another coast pine, and we'll be, again, some candle pruning on that. And then the last one, this pine was so thick you couldn't even see up through it. It had been let go when I first got to it. And now you see the light, the blue sky, and we'll be doing some work on that as well. So there's a quick tour, and we'll do that afterwards. We get done. This will be a couple days worth of work, and after we get done, we'll do a quick tour of this again. And I have videos that I've made over the 2 previous years, so we can see you can go back and look at them on the YouTube channel and see the progression of these trees as they progressively improve after being kind of let go for a few years. So I'll see you in a couple days. Well, here's a quick tour of these pine trees that we just pruned out. This is pine tree number 1, little coast pine. And this will be the 3rd year that we have been working on this tree. It looks a lot better. And on all of these trees that I'm about to show you, we've got layers established. Got most of the needles going up and the candles going up. Removed a lot of the stuff that's going down, the needles and branches, so we got a nice flow. Everything kind of going up with all the needle branchlets kind of facing up like this. It's taken several years to get to this point. Now we're going to be working on pad development. Here's pine number 2. Again, got all the flow of the energy of the tree. The branches pretty much this upward movement with everything kind of going up like this. And here's kind of one of the signature pine trees. It's actually by the front door of the house. So when I talk about pad development, we've got the various layers, planes and layers, and now I want to encourage this to thicken up, each of these pads, so we get more of a layered look. That is, instead of this airy look, we want to thicken it up a little bit, each individual pad. Here's another tree we did. So this tree is kind of like what we're trying to get to. This tree actually was pom-pommed, and little by little we've been opening it up. And this time I decided to open it up dramatically. And so here you actually see more of the pads are thicker, more layered. So we're going to begin to move the other trees more in this direction, like this one is here. But we have to let all of these branchlets, all of these guys thicken up and fill out each individual layer. So it begins to look a little bit more like this. While we're at it, let me show you some of the vine maples that we also pruned out for this client. And here is a lace leaf maple that was totally thick. You couldn't even see through it. It looked like a mushroom or an umbrella. So here's another pine tree that another coast pine that pruned out. We've been working on this one also for 3 years. As you can see, there's a real oriental motif here. And here is a weeping hemlock that was thick. You could not even see through it. And we opened this up, so you can actually look in and see the rocks behind it and the beautiful branching structure. And here's the pine tree against the backdrop of the blue sky. This is on the Willamette River. Beautiful river view here. Beautiful home. Yeah. Here's another vine maple that we pruned out. It was thick, lots of sprouts. Sorry I don't have a before and after. I've been working on this tree. We've been doing this tree up probably for 25 years. Here's some bonsai. I've been pruning on these two for the client. And here's a Japanese black pine. Kind of like the one black pine, Pinus thunbergii, on the whole place. The rest are all coast pines. And this tree is coming along nicely too. And again, we're looking forward to thickening up the pads so there's more foliage. So it gives more of a layered look. Kind of hard to see against the background of the foliage behind it. And here's another coast pine, Pinus contorta, shore pine, coast pine, common names. And here's the last pine. Got some bird feeders and bird houses in it. This thing a couple years ago was so thick you couldn't even see through it. Couldn't see the branching structure. It was just a mass, a nest of foliage. It was literally just a big blob. Little by little opening it up. And again, creating layers. Yeah, beautiful. So I hope this inspires you to want to maybe try some of this on your own pine trees. If you go back and watch some of my previous videos, I've done some tutorials on how to prune these trees. Maybe you'll find those helpful, hopefully, and maybe that will inspire you to get into your own pine trees and begin to experiment a little bit. Here are a couple of before and afters. After 3 prunings, we had to initially get in and thin out and restructure and do restorative pruning. Now that we've got everything all going in the right direction, we're going to let the trees thicken back up again and give that nice, thicker, full look. But this time, instead of a tangled mass, everything going in the right direction, unlike what was happening prior to our pruning activities.